Live from a bunker in the heart of the Ozarks, a podcast that's just hoping to get back on the lunchbox. It's SiftPop. Welcome to SiftPop Weekly, streaming live most Saturday mornings or available to download later in your podcast feed, unless, of course, you're a patron. Oh no, I know what happens next. I'm your host, Aaron Dicer, and this is him being reasonable. It's Andrew Ormsby, ladies and gentlemen.
Ahoy!
Each week we'll chat about movies, TV, and whatever else from the pop culture universe is on our minds. And please welcome our guest this week. It's not his first weird trip, kid. It's Dom Fisher.
Woo!
Definitely not the first weird trip. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, in this environment, it's your third weird trip hanging out with us on SiftPop to chat movies. We are, of course, talking about Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Do not make the mistake of calling it Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, because a nerd somewhere...
He's in that. He's still in that.
A nerd somewhere will get shivers on the back of their neck, and they will correct you. So yes, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness came out this week, and we're going to talk all about it. In fact, it is going to be a Marvel-centric show today. We are going to talk about the Doctor Strange movie. We're going to attempt to do an update to our Marvel Sift Sort, our MCU Sift Sort. Now, Dom, you've never participated, I believe, in a Sift Sort with us here at SiftPop. This is a challenge because at the end of the day, all three of us must agree on the order of all 28 Marvel movies that exist in the MCU right now. So it sounds like a daunting task. The good news is we have a baseline to start from because we've done this before, so that will help us get through it. We'll also do a best ever challenge for Benedict Cumberbatch, best ever Benedict Cumberbatch movies, and of course our buried treasure at the end. But let's waste no time getting into it. Let's talk about Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Doctor Strange, with the help of mystical allies, both old and new, traverses the mind-bending and dangerous alternate realities of the multiverse to confront a mysterious new adversary. We're going to be as spoiler-free as possible here during the main show. We will do a Sift spoil on this. Certainly with Marvel shows, there's always plenty to talk about in the spoiler realm. But for now, let's just talk about the movie in general and how we felt about it. This, as mentioned, is the 28th movie in the MCU, which blows my mind over the course of the last, 12 years, 13 years. And yeah, what did you guys think? Did you like it, love it, dislike it, hate it, or it was just okay? I'm going to start with Andrew this time.
It's just okay.
Just okay from Andrew. Dom,
maybe low side of okay.
Low side of okay.
Maybe,
just
but for now I'm just going to go with okay. Just okay.
Oh my. Dom, did you like it, love it, dislike it, hate it, or it was just okay?
So I have now seen it twice, so I will say that I liked it.
Okay. All right. Did that change? Did that needle change after the second time?
It did. It went up a notch.
Okay.
Just one.
All right. Fair enough. I thought I was going to be the downer this week, but I also am in the just okay camp. I really struggle with my thoughts on this one. Really struggle with them because I know so much of what I'm struggling with is stuff that other people will like. I know it. I know for a fact that some of the things that I am not enjoying about this movie are things other people will really enjoy. So I guess with that caveat, I'll say okay, just okay, is probably right there in the center is probably where I'll land. So let's talk about that, guys. All three of us were just kind of mediocre. Dom, you watched it again and liked it more. I'm hoping that's the case with me too, is that if I see it again, maybe that'll bump the needle up a little bit. But because you've seen it twice and you liked it a little bit more than Andrew and I, talk a little bit about what you like about this movie.
Yeah, why is it the best MCU movie ever?
Yeah, you like it the most, so you get to be the one who says that. Yeah,
I will say what my initial beef, my biggest beef with the film was that it's called the Multiverse of Madness, and we didn't get as much multiversal travel as I expected. I expected it to be heavier cameos only because of I figured there'd be some pit stops where you see an alternate version of characters we already know, even if just for a second. And then on my second watch, after knowing that, I got to sit back more and enjoy it for what it was.
You got to release some of those expectations.
Yeah.
I think I had similar expectations. I think there was something about it that I just expected it to really go nuts.
Yeah.
Like, you want to go nuts? Let's go nuts. And really just kind of play with several ideas and several multiverses, and it's not concerned with being that movie.
Yeah. I think I should have known when I saw the runtime. When you got like this big MCU movie and it's right over 2 hours, I should have known because it kind of threw me off when I first heard it. I was like, 2 hours, like that's it. But I mean, I like Sam Raimi. I enjoyed the horror aspect of it. I'm a big horror fan, especially the Evil Dead. It was a little corny at times where there were certain lines that I was like, that was real cringy. But I mean, I enjoyed like the pace. I enjoyed that. It started off really quick. We didn't need setup. We know what's going on. We know the characters, and it just is full go. And I enjoyed the way it visually looked great. I mean, if anyone hasn't seen it, I'd see it in IMAX. It's going to be probably your best bet to get the full effect.
A lot of people seeing it in 3D. I like a lot of 3D going around my timeline right now, which made me really happy. I love 3D technology. I want it to keep getting better. I think some of that has to do with the Avatar preview. People wanted to see the Avatar preview in 3D. But yeah, no, it looked like a movie that I almost went, oh man, I should have gone to a 3D screening on this because it looks like it has a lot of really cool, interesting things. So yeah.
But the best aspect of it, and which I tweeted about, is Elizabeth Olsen as Wanda. She is fantastic. I know she got a lot of flack in the past for her accent. It's changed a couple of different times. I don't care. The suit is great. She made like her choices and decisions to tell them that she didn't have to be over sexualized really works with her character. Because she looks great regardless, and is like just her in that horror mode of she's like a monster in a movie chasing people around, and her being able to go do what she does it was great.
She is a Scarlet Witch, and witches are scary.
I think she's great as well. I love Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange. That's in my positive column. I think he plays the role really, really well. I think at least whoever's writing, directing, putting him in really understands how that character works. In my opinion, at least with what I know about it. I'm not a comics person. I just mean in the movies. So I did like that. Always love seeing Rachel McAdams around. So that's always going to be fun. I should have done some more research. I don't know if either of you have. I don't know how to pronounce the actor who plays America Chavez. I don't know how to pronounce their name. So I apologize for that, but I thought she was great. I really enjoyed that America Chavez character. So for me, if I'm looking at positives, I'm looking at the performances. I'm looking at some of the banter. There's some of that great Marvel stuff. And beyond that, the visuals were stunning. Just like I really liked the way they kind of interpreted kind of her power in the separating of like the star portals in the different multiverse. I loved that kind of stuff. I thought that stuff was really gorgeous. And then there is a montage of multiverse travel that I thought was really inventive and fun as well. So those were some of my positives. Andrew, what are some of your thoughts?
I'm going to echo some of the things that you guys said. I really enjoyed the visuals of it. Sam Raimi, obviously, he just knows how to make a visually stunning movie. And I like the fact that it doesn't work all the time. I'll say that. And it's actually sometimes it's a downfall for the movie for me. This movie goes for it. It knows what it wants to try and do, and it commits to it. And I really, really appreciate it for that, because there are some times where I'm watching this and I'm like, I don't know why you're. I get that, you've done Evil Dead, and there's
Mhm.
horror elements to it, and sometimes they work, and sometimes like very, very effective.
Mhm.
But sometimes it throws me off. But like you said, the visuals, mm, so good. Some of the best visuals the MCU has ever done are in this movie, which you can expect from not only a Doctor Strange movie, but a Doctor Strange movie that calls itself In the Multiverse of Madness. So you get to see
Mhm.
some pretty psychedelic, crazy visuals on the screen, and it's
Yeah.
great. I'm gonna kind of disagree with you on the America Chavez character. I think the performance is really good. I'm just, it's another instance of a character being turned into a plot device and
Hmm.
not having much to do on their own. Like, stuff is set up, but it's never paid off.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, Marvel always has a little bit of that, but it's more now than ever. I think because they're setting up so much stuff. Like it's clear to me there's going to be a TV show with America Chavez. Like it's clear to me that there will be some sort of, listen, I don't know the comic books. I just know there are several like kid superpower things popping up in different places, and she's one of them. Like,
Yeah.
is that like Young Avengers? Is she a part of the Young Avengers? Like, I don't know any of that stuff,
I
but
don't know.
like, it wouldn't surprise me if you put like, her and then Miss Marvel and then like, all these kind of, I think Tony Stark had a kid that has been introduced and may,
Ironheart.
Ironheart. Yeah. All that stuff that I don't really know a ton about. It just feels like they're prepping for something. But because of that, there is one of those, there's more of that in the movies now where it's like, oh, you're not resolving stuff. And it's because, well, we'll do that when we get around to it. Like we'll have that story because she does have a story. She does have like an origin and like a motivation, and she has all those things. But you're right. It's not about her finding resolution for her specific things. It's really more about Wanda and Strange.
And if I'm not mistaken, I believe America's character in the comics, I feel like she's relatively new, like within the last like decade and a half. Yeah, she hasn't been around for a super long time. So maybe it's like since she is a little newer and doesn't have as much of a backstory, they can kind of do their own thing essentially.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I kind of want to kind of wade into something that Andrew touched on, which is tone disparity. I came away from this with very, very similar feelings to what I had with the Eternals, and I'll explain what I mean by that. It felt like there was just Marvel is doing this new thing, and many people have asked for them to do it, have called for them. Let unique directors put their stamp on your movies, right? Let Chloe Zhao make a Chloe Zhao Marvel movie. Let Sam Raimi make a Sam Raimi Marvel movie. I think that's fine. I get why people want that. I'm just wondering if we're going to look back and go, you know what? They knew the formula. Find directors that play into the formula, because there's something that happens when this becomes an Evil Dead movie, which it does.
Yeah.
It becomes an Evil Dead movie where you go, is that what I came to see? Like, there's just something that clicks in the brain where it's like, this doesn't feel like it's necessarily in the same universe anymore as all these other, consistent. I would say consistent. Others would say maybe bland. Like there's like a blanding together of everything. So I get like the tug and pull of creativity, but I do wonder if for me, I just like the formula. Just give me the formula. Give me the version of this movie that isn't Evil Dead. Give me the version of this movie that feels more like the original Doctor Strange or the other, movies that I know. And I don't know. It's an interesting era for Marvel where I feel like they can kind of stretch their legs a little bit and go, okay, we kind of own the space. So let's let directors put their stamp on stuff. I just wonder how that's going to work with the greater audience long term, because I guarantee you there are people who are coming away from this going, that was a horror movie. I don't go to Marvel movies to see horror movies. You know, like that are or taking their kids to it and going, that was a little much for my kid. You know what I mean? Like I guarantee you there are a lot of people having that experience, and I wonder long term how that impacts their commercial success or their viability. But that doesn't make it bad. It just means I have those disconnects tone wise when I watch something like that. Is that kind of what you were talking about, Andrew, a little bit?
Yeah. Oh, well, because sometimes I don't mind it being a horror movie. I got to say that. It's where it became... Sam Raimi does this weird thing where his horror films always have a splash of comedy
Like
to
campy
kind of
horror.
lighten the horror element.
Yeah.
And it felt tonally wrong compared to the elements of the movie that were trying to be real horror, you know?
Yeah.
Where slapsticky is not the right word, but is really close, you know? And I'll just say this. There's a sequence in this movie which is supposed to be like the big moment of the movie where we're introduced to a jury. I'll just call them that. If you've
seen the movie, you know exactly what we're talking about. There's no need to
that's
say
exactly
anything.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, if you know, you know.
That's supposed to be, the big moment of the movie. I hated that sequence.
I hated everything about it. I hated everything about it, Andrew. I can't believe we had the same experience.
It's crazy because we meet one of my favorite Marvel characters, and I got really excited, and I can't wait till we talk about spoilers where I get to break down why I hated it so much.
Yeah, that's really interesting that we had the same visceral reaction. I really came away from that entire section just going, no, that's not, no. Don't ever do that again. No.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to talk
it's
about it.
It's not tonally.
Well.
Tonally is not why I hate it.
No, I don't think so.
It's how characters are used that I despise that sequence.
And I think it's a result of this new era of Marvel storytelling. I think it is there are pieces, and we'll go more to it in spoilers, but there are pieces of what they are doing now that are going to necessarily have consequences for stuff like that I just don't think I'm going to like it. I just don't think I'm going to enjoy it. So Dom, I'm curious your experience with the scene.
It was what's the word? I want to say underwhelming is the best word I can think of. And kind of it just shouldn't have happened the way that it happened. There's a lot of things they could have done, and that wasn't the way they should have done it. Especially for the length of time that it happened. And to your point earlier, my uncle this morning said, "Oh, I saw Doctor Strange last night," and he was like, "It was all right." Like he said, "Who was the guys that did the Endgame?" I was like, "Oh, the Russo brothers." Yeah, they should have done that. They should have done all these movies. And I said, "I understand."
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. So some further exploration of that will definitely happen in spoilers, but we're not going to mess that up for you if you haven't seen it. Any other thoughts, general thoughts that we can talk about? It's interesting. Sometimes with these Marvel movies, Star Wars movies, those kind of things, our actual review is a little bit shorter than usual, which many people wouldn't think because the spoiler section is the longer section. But
I think that's really compounded by the amount of stuff that happens in this movie.
Yeah.
So
get
ready for like a 15-minute regular cast and then a 2-hour-long spoiler talk.
Don't promise to. I ain't got 2 hours, but we'll definitely get into it. What were you saying, Dom?
Oh, I did love Danny Elfman's score. So every once in a while, I'll look him up on iTunes and just listen to things he's done, and that score is really good. It really went well with a lot of every scene. It was almost a character in itself because
there's one scene where it is.
Yeah, I mean, because his scores are so elevated that it was just like, you know what, Danny Elfman is definitely here in every scene, standing in the corner, like, yep, you're over there, I'm over here doing my thing.
Yeah.
my final thought, besides two post-credit scenes,
Yeah.
is the fact that this movie commits to something that I've seen in like other. It's so hard to talk about because it could just open up a whole branch of spoilers. But it commits to something that you see in something like a Civil War. Where you're like, yeah, we get that this is what the movie's going to be about, but at the end something's going to happen. And this movie commits to like an element that I'm like, oh wow, I actually really appreciate I really appreciate this movie for doing that. It's actually the highlight of the movie for me.
Okay.
I'm being as
I know.
general as possible, and most people are like, why is he just saying random words?
Overall, I would say this. You're never, I shouldn't say never. You're very rarely going to hear me say, don't see a Marvel movie. Like, it's just the type of storytelling they're doing is so expansive. It's so fun. It's a recommendation. Go see this movie. There are ways you're going to have fun with it. Just know you're going to see a Sam Raimi movie as much as you are going to see a Marvel movie, and it may feel a little bit different to you.
And not a Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie.
No,
we're
Correct.
talking From
Correct.
Hell. We're talking
we're talking
Evil
more.
Dead.
Yeah, we're talking Evil Dead. Yeah, definitely. And so know that. I think for the most part, I could be wrong, Andrew. For the most part, the things we hated about the scene, many people will love. I really believe that. I think many people will love
100%.
What's going on there. So don't let that scare you away. Have a good time. Marvel's still doing great work. So we will talk more in the Sift spoil for sure, which should be in your podcast feed following this episode. All right, guys, let's get into it. We are going to now update the MCU Sift sort. This is about as 12 Angry Men as we get on the podcast. There's a lot of debating to happen. This is how this will work when you are updating a Sift sort list. We start with the existing list, which I have pulled up in front of me. And I believe I sent a link to you guys of that existing list that you can look at. We will look at that list. We will each take turns saying, I want to adjust something from the existing list. And then if the other two agree, then we can make an adjustment. If it is not unanimous, no adjustment will be made and it will stay the same. Then we will add the movies that are not on that list yet. I believe there are 9 movies to add, and we will go one at a time and put them in the list for agreement. So, pulling it up, the current MCU Sift sort goes like this from number 1 to number 19. Again, there are 9 movies missing. Infinity War at number 1. The Original Avengers, 2012 at number 2. Guardians of the Galaxy at number 3. Iron Man at number 4. Black Panther at number 5, Thor Ragnarok at number 6, Civil War at 7, First Avenger at 8, Winter Soldier at 9, nice little Captain America run there, Doctor Strange at 10, Homecoming at 11, Guardians of the Galaxy 2 at 12, Ultron at 13, Ant-Man at 14, Thor at 15, Iron Man 2 at 16, Incredible Hulk at 17, Iron Man 3 at 18, and Thor the Dark World at 19. Dom, you are the guest. Do you have a suggestion for any changes in the existing 19 that seem very wrong to you?
It's pretty close to what I would do. I think if anything, and it's a little bit of a bias, but I'd probably have Black Panther at number 3.
Moving Black Panther up, Andrew. How do you feel about moving Black Panther up?
Let's see. That means it would beat out Guardians and Iron Man. I mean, I wouldn't, but if I'm outvoted, I'll go for it.
Which of the two would you feel more comfortable putting Black Panther ahead of, Iron Man or Guardians?
Iron Man, probably.
Okay. So you want Guardians stuck at number 3, and maybe we swap Black Panther and Iron Man?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that works.
All right.
I do.
Let's do that. Unanimous decision. We'll move Black Panther to number 4 and Iron Man to number 5. Everybody agree?
Yeah.
All right. Andrew, do you have any suggestions on the existing list?
There
is part of me that wonders if this is even interesting to listen to. Like every time we
not
do
if
this,
you're
I'm like,
Danae.
do people enjoy this? Because if not, we don't have to do these SIF sorts. But I literally have had people be like, "Oh, I missed the SIF sorts. You guys should do those more." And so I'm like, "All right, we'll do these." So yeah.
I'm fine with this list.
Yeah, I think so too. Like, here's the thing:
you and I have gone back and forth on this list, so so this is more of a Dom,
correct. That's
finally
exactly
getting
it. Like, I would love to hear more Dom thoughts. Like, if there are other things that look like they're a little bit out of sorts to you, like when you look at this list and you're like, why do they have that so low, or why do they have that so high? Is there anything else on the list?
I'm pretty sure it would be the same. I mean, Thor: The Dark World is in the perfect spot. I just and then like I think Captain America and Winter Soldier, it depends on the day. They could be swapped. But no, I mean it looks good. It looks like a good list.
All right. So this is where we're going to stand with the existing list. For me, like I look through here, I think I like Ant-Man more than where it's ranked, but it's fine because I know, we've been through this. I'm a huge fan of the first Avenger, but I totally get why it's at number 8. In fact, I think that's higher than most people would have it, so I'm fine with that. I think this list looks really good to me. So that means it's time to add. Andrew, pick a movie that's not on there that you want to add to the list.
Shang Chi.
All right, let's start with Shang Chi. Where do you want to start the discussion for Shang Chi?
If I were to place it on my list, on this list, me personally, I would put it right up in front of First Avenger.
Okay, like better than First Avenger, so like number 7.
Better than First Avenger.
Or I guess that makes it number 8, and then moves the First Avenger down to number 9. How does that feel to you, Dom? What did you feel about Shang-Chi?
I liked it, but I don't. I think it's a good spot because it didn't make me immediately want to rewatch it, but I really liked it. So I think in the 8 to 9 areas is a good spot.
I think that's a little high for me. I really like Shang-Chi. I think that's about right. I think maybe I just talked about how much
10
I
or
love the
11
First Avenger. Yeah, let's land it either between First Avenger and Winter Soldier, or between Winter Soldier and Doctor Strange. Either just above Doctor Strange or just above the Winter Soldier. What do you guys think?
Maybe it's just because I forgot that we had First Avenger so high. Now that I'm looking at the list, I'm like, well, I like Doctor Strange more, and I think I even like Spider-Man Homecoming more. So I would probably even. What's wrong with me? So maybe closer to 10, somewhere in there.
We can put it right. We can put it right with Homecoming. We can put Doctor Strange above it.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that, Dom? Shang-Chi below Doctor Strange and above Spider-Man Homecoming.
That's a good spot.
All right.
I think because Doctor Strange and Shang-Chi are like origin story, or not origin stories, I guess, for Shang-Chi. But you know what I mean? Like it's an origin movie for us. Like we're being introduced to a new character, and the wire work and everything it's a beautiful movie. And then of course at the very end we get a Marvel CGI fight.
Yep. All right. So there we go. We're landing Shang-Chi at number 11 between Doctor Strange and Spider-Man Homecoming. Dom, name a movie to put on the list that isn't there.
Eternals.
All right. The Eternals, and where do you want to start the conversation?
You know what? Probably right ahead of Age of Ultron.
Oh, okay. All right. So at 14 was where that would be. Right ahead of Age of Ultron, right behind Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. That feels maybe even a little high for me. Andrew, what are you thinking?
No, I was thinking in between Iron Man 3 and Hulk.
So way down there. So do you like it more than us, Dom? Do you like the Eternals? Is that why you would have it there, or?
I don't. It was. I think it was interesting to me. It was completely different, and I kind of like that ethereal feel to it. But again, it is one that I don't race back to rewatch. So it could move down a spot.
How do we feel about having it right below Ant-Man and right above Thor? Do you feel okay about that, Andrew?
I like Thor more, but yeah,
All right,
I'm
no,
okay with that.
let's. I'm also okay moving it below Thor. I'm okay with it being above Iron Man 2 and below Thor.
Yeah.
Yeah,
At 17.
yeah.
Does that work? 17 work for everybody?
Yeah.
All right.
You know what? I'm glad you guys have Age of Ultron higher than some of the other ones because I get a lot of flack for liking that movie.
I really
It's
love,
not bad. It's not
love
bad.
Age of Ultron.
It's not bad. I don't understand why people have it at the bottom of their list. It's really not bad.
No, I'm with Dom. It's on my personal list. It's up there. So
all right. So my turn to pick one to add. So let's go with Spider-Man Far From Home.
that's the second one, right? Not No Way Home.
Or No Way Home. Sorry, Spider-Man No Way Home is what I meant. Although, is Far From Home on here?
No.
I don't think it is. So let's start with Far From Home. Let's do the let's do the two Spider-Man movies. And I will say I really dig that movie. Probably about almost the same as Homecoming. So I would probably start us maybe right under Homecoming. That's probably where I'd start us.
I like Homecoming more, but they're really, really close.
So above Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, right below Homecoming is where I would put it. How do you guys feel about that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good spot.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Lock in Spider-Man Far From Home at number 13 currently. All right, Andrew, what's next?
Let's rip the Band-Aid off, shall we?
Okay.
Endgame.
Ooh.
Yeah. This is going to be a fun one. And where do you want to start it?
I personally would put it on where we have everything right now, right above Black Panther.
So you would have Endgame at number 4, and that would move Black Panther back to number 5. Okay. Dom, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, Endgame was almost cheating. Like it's like
yeah, it is. It's a cheat code.
Culmination of everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you got to put it somewhere in the top like that. So
yeah, I mean, I'm fine with it at number 4. I know many people will have it number 1, and I understand that. Andrew and I are in agreement that Infinity War is the best Avengers movie.
Yeah, it's probably
the best Marvel movie.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So I don't mind if it even goes above Guardians if we want to put it that high. I think I like Infinity War and the Avengers at 1 and 2. It depends on you. I love Guardians of the Galaxy. I think it's an incredible movie. I'm really glad we have it at number 3. I'm actually fine with Endgame at 4 and then Black Panther at 5. I'd even be fine with
so much better than I thought it was going to go.
I'd even be fine with Black Panther at 4 and Endgame at 5. I really would.
Yeah,
Endgame just is in the top 5. Dom, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, that's good.
That works.
I love that we have Guardians of the Galaxy and Black Panther above Endgame. I know a lot of people wouldn't necessarily agree with that, but that works definitely for me. So, all right, that is Endgame. Dom, what's the next one we're gonna add? I think we've got 6 left.
Captain Marvel.
All right.
No, it's crazy. It's
big
just like
sigh from Andrew.
No, it was a sigh because I think we're going to upset some people with.
Of course we are. Of course we are. Dom, where do you want to start the discussion?
Man, I'd say around. Oh man, Iron Man 2.
Okay, around the 20 mark.
Yeah,
above Iron Man 2 or below it?
That's a good question. I'd go below it.
All right, so that would be 21 of the current ones, just above the Incredible Hulk and just below Iron Man 2. Dom puts Captain Marvel pretty low on the list. I think I'm going to suggest we move it a little higher. How do you feel, Andrew?
I would put it personally right in front of Ant-Man on this list.
Okay. I definitely want it in front of Eternals. I definitely think it's a better.
Yeah,
I think it's a
100%.
better movie
That's
than
100%.
Eternals.
That's true.
I like it either right above Eternals or right above Thor. I think. How do you feel about right above Thor, right after Ant-Man?
Okay.
Yeah.
Does that work? Does that work for everybody?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it'd be like Ant-Man, Captain Marvel, Thor, Eternals. That feels doable for all of us, I think.
Yeah.
All right, so Captain Marvel locked in at number 18 on the current list. Very nice. All right, now we will do Spider-Man No Way Home.
Whew.
And I think I will start it. I think I'm going to start it right above Civil War. That's where I'm going to start the discussion. So right around number 8. I really, really like this movie. What do you guys think about it? Is that high enough? Is that too high? What are your thoughts?
I like that. Personally, some people would call this the best MCU movie just because of like it really does it. But I think for me personally, what we have at the like the top like 5-ish area, like I would consider, like hit me personally, like I'm like, oh, these are personally like some of my favorite movies. So I think right below Thor Ragnarok, it sounds great.
Dom, what do you think? Should we move it above Thor Ragnarok? Does anybody think it should be above Thor Ragnarok?
Nah,
No.
I think
Okay.
Taika's touch on Ragnarok is too good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it okay? And this might be, kind of confrontational, possibly. Does No Way Home rely too much on that third act of being
that's fair.
spectacular?
Yeah, that's fair.
Because I think
you want it lower? You want it below like Civil War?
No,
oh, okay.
No.
Oh,
because that third act is so good.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah. But yeah, I really love everything about this movie. It's just when it comes to the MCU, you're judging, various versions of platinum at that point.
All right, so Spider-Man No Way Home at number 8 on the current list, just below Thor Ragnarok, just above Civil War. Everybody feel good about that? Lock that in?
Yeah.
All right. Andrew, what are we adding next? I think we've got 4 movies left.
Just because I can't think of what we don't have, I'll go with a Multiverse of Madness.
Okay. We can do that now. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Where do you want to start the discussion?
Right above Eternals.
Dom, what do you think?
What number is Eternals at right now?
Eternals is at 21 right now. If Doctor Strange is above it, it would be 22. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness would be below Thor, Captain Marvel, Ant-Man, Ultron, Guardians 2. That, it would be below all of those. How do you
Pretty
feel
much
about that?
above Incredible Hulk, Iron Man 3, and Thor.
I'll just say I think that's a little low. I may move it. I may want to move it up a couple slots. But how are you feeling, Dom?
I'd probably have it somewhere around Thor.
Yeah.
You want to? So my list isn't updating as we add those.
Yeah. So I'm kind of
like what's around Thor, like on either side of Thor?
So it goes from Ultron at 17 currently. It goes to Ant-Man at 18, Marvel at 19, Thor at 20, Eternals at 21.
I could be convinced to put it right in front of Thor, but
no higher than that.
Yeah, give me a good reason.
I don't know. I think there's it's so fresh.
Yeah, that's the hard part.
That's the hard part for me. But no, I like it here. I might. down the road, if we do this again, we might be like, let's move it above Captain Marvel or something like that. But I don't know. I didn't like the movie. I mean, it was okay, and Thor was also okay, and Captain Marvel was also okay. So it's like, right in that range.
Yeah.
I like it there. I like it there personally. If everybody's okay with it.
Yeah. What are the 3 movies that we're missing?
We are missing let's see, Black Widow.
Mm.
And
Ant-Man and Wasp.
Ant-Man and the Wasp. And there should be one more, right? Or no, there's 28. No, those are the only 2 we're missing. Black Widow and Ant-Man and the Wasp are the final 2.
Okay.
I
know we probably should have saved Multiverse of Madness for the very end, but
that's what I was thinking, but
I couldn't think of what we were missing, so I was like, so.
Well, let's put it on hold then. Let's not make the final decision until we do those other 2, and then we'll make the final decision on Multiverse of Madness. So let's just go Black Widow.
Okay.
Since we just got the 2, and whose turn was it?
It was mine.
Okay. Where do you want to start the discussion with Black Widow?
Right above Thor: Dark World.
Oh shit!
Wow. Okay. That's not where it's going to be, but it's an interesting place to start
Black Widow?
Yeah, you didn't like Black Widow?
Not really.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's okay. Right. I mean, the only saving grace for that movie was Yelena. So
I like a lot about that movie. I think there's a lot of fun stuff in that movie. I think that movie's better than Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. I think that movie's better than Captain Marvel, actually.
No.
I don't know. Dom, how do you feel? We've got our first real disagreement.
I have it right behind Age of Ultron, or right in front of it, one of the 2.
So you're even higher than me. That's interesting.
You guys would rather what?
I think Black Widow's a good movie. I really do.
All these movies are good movies.
Some of them are just okay.
Man, I don't know.
So you think Eternals is better than Black Widow?
As soon as you said that, that's the first thing. Like, do I like? But Eternals is just so long. It's so long. Like, thinking of watching Eternals for me seems like homework. It really
okay. Here's the question. Dom and I like it more than you. It doesn't have to be all the way up where we think it should be, but like, what's your limit? Like, what is the point where you're like, no, I will not put my name on a list that has Black Widow that high?
I don't like it in front of Thor.
Okay. So just ahead of the Eternals is about as high as you're willing to go.
You say that like I'm putting my foot down. It's just like, this is like,
no, you wanted it second to last. So
I did want it second to last.
Yeah. So I totally get it. That's why we do this. That's why I asked the question.
I would be really upset if we put it above Age of Ultron.
Oh no, I don't think that's on the table.
It's funny because once we get down to a certain level of Marvel movies, I become apathetic to where it ends up on the list. I'm like, yeah, fine. So yeah, if it's around Thor and the Eternals, I'm okay with that.
Let's put it. Can we put it right above Multiverse of Madness?
Wherever that ends up.
That would be 20 on the current list. So it would go Black Widow, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, Thor, Eternals.
Okay.
Is that all right?
Yeah.
All right. Black Widow in at number 20, despite the fact that Andrew wants it at number 27.
It's such a forgettable movie for me.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I understand.
You know why it's such a forgettable movie? Because I forgot that it was one of the Marvel movies.
And finally, Ant-Man and the Wasp. What do we think of that one? I think, Dom, it's your turn to start the conversation. Where would you put that?
I honestly don't know, because I remember nothing of this movie besides the end. Or the end credit scene, really. But I mean, I enjoyed Paul Rudd. But I do I think Ant-Man is better.
Interesting.
So I'm gonna say somewhere after Thor.
Okay. I have Ant-Man and Ant-Man and the Wasp pretty much dead even. I like them both quite a bit. But I don't know that I could tell you which one I like more. So for me, obviously, my starting point is where Ant-Man is, and then just going from how you guys feel about the comparison. Andrew, what about you?
I like Ant-Man and the Wasp more than the first Ant-Man movie.
Okay.
Maybe it's just because I think that we have Age of Ultron really, really low on this list. But here's my issue with the Ant-Man franchise is that every single other, I think, Marvel franchise really tries to make the powers and the abilities kind of, make sense. And there's a scientific, afterthought to Ant-Man and like how the shrinking and everything works because it's not, the rules aren't consistent. Like sometimes they're like, yeah, you shrink down, but you carry the same weight and stuff like that. But then at the same time, they have tanks on keychains and like he can run across people's hands and stuff like that.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
you commit whatever. I think that a lot of the MCU really does try to commit to whatever rules it sets in place, but I think with the Ant-Man, the Pym particle, they're just kind of like, whatever we need it to be, like right now works.
Yeah.
So that's my only issue with it.
I don't know. So I guess, I mean, I'm personally fine with putting it right above Ant-Man, but Dom doesn't like it as much as we do. So I'm just wondering, Dom, like where you think it should, like what's the highest you're comfortable with it being?
Right after Ant-Man.
Right after Ant-Man?
Yeah.
Are you okay landing there, Andrew, where we have them right together, but Ant-Man is first and then Ant-Man and the Wasp is second?
We're in my affable zone, so yeah.
All right, there you go. There's all 28 movies. Doctor Strange, we will finish with reassessing where we put the Multiverse of Madness. Since we just saw it, it is currently at 22 between Black Widow just above it and Thor just below it. Do we want to move it down or up?
Works for me.
Yeah.
Dom, how do you feel about it at 22?
I'd leave it there for now.
Okay. Well, there you go. Lock it in. Here is the new MCU Sift Sort. Number 1, Avengers Infinity War. Number 2, The Avengers. Number 3, Guardians of the Galaxy. Number 4, Black Panther. Number 5, Endgame. Number 6, Iron Man. Number 7, Thor Ragnarok. Number 8, Spider-Man No Way Home. Number 9, Civil War. Number 10, The First Avenger. Number 11, The Winter Soldier. Number 12, Doctor Strange. Number 13, Shang Chi. Number 14, Homecoming. Number 15, Spider-Man Far From Home. Number 16, Guardians 2. Number 17, Age of Ultron. Number 18, Ant-Man. Number 19, Ant-Man and the Wasp. Number 20, Captain Marvel. Number 21, Black Widow. Number 22, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Number 23, Thor. 24, Eternals. 25, Iron Man 2. 26, The Incredible Hulk. 27, Iron Man 3. And 28, poor Thor the Dark World. So there you go. All 28 official MCU Sift Sort from SiftPop. Well done, guys. Nobody got hurt. Everybody's okay. Our biggest disagreement was probably Black Widow, but we all survived it. We all made it through. Congratulations to all. All right. Before we head into our best ever challenge for the week, a reminder that you can be a SiftPop member at Patreon. If you go to patreon.com/SiftPop, check out all the stuff there. If you're interested, it starts at $3 every month, and there are different perks for different levels. One of the levels is your own dedicated podcast feed with no ads and bonus episodes almost every week. The bonus episode for this week, we actually did a ranking of the MCU TV shows on Disney+. So if you want to know where we rank all those shows in relation to each other, those 6 shows, you can check out the members only pre-show, which we give to our members in their own podcast feed at certain levels. So check that out at patreon.com/SiftPop. That's SiftPop. And thank you to our current members for all you do to keep us going. Means the world to us that we can do this podcast for you, and the website at SiftPop.com. All right, into the best ever challenge, best ever Benedict Cumberbatch movies. We'll go number 5 to number 1. Of course, you can trump if you have it higher than someone else. I'll kick us off with my number 5. Very recent number 5 for me. This is where I have The Power of the Dog in at number 5 for me. Really enjoyed this movie. I think he's incredible in it. I think it is a beautiful tone poem that also has the added benefit of having a nice little twist rewatchability factor to it as well that I really enjoy. Layered very, very interestingly. I have The Power of Dog in at number 5. Dom, why don't you go next? What do you got at number 5?
I have the very recent Multiverse of Madness.
There you go.
And I realized too, making this list, that his catalog is very extensive, and I haven't seen as many as I thought I had. But so my number 1's kind of a cheat, probably. But yeah, Multiverse of Madness. It speaks for itself for why it belongs there, and he is the quintessential Doctor Strange. So,
yeah,
nice. There you go. Andrew, what do you got at number 5?
I will say that I did limit myself to only one MCU movie on my list.
Yeah, I didn't mention that. I did ask us to limit ourselves to one MCU movie on the list just for variety's sake. So, yeah. Andrew, what is your number 5?
It might get trumped, The Imitation Game.
Yes, I will be trumping that one. On to our number 4s. I have 12 Years a Slave.
Oh, Trump.
Okay. Andrew trumping that one. Dom, what do you have at number 4?
The Electrical Life of Louis Wayne.
Oh, okay.
I haven't seen this one.
It's very recent, and it shows some of more of his range. I've heard
definitely
recent conversations about Denzel not having enough range, and that's a whole nother conversation. But
I have a feeling Dom has opinions. Dom has thoughts on this topic. Yes.
But no, Louis Wayne is a really good movie. He's a kind of eccentric, whimsical lover in a sense, in a beautiful mind. The movie moves really well, and we've seen him in these serious roles. We've seen him become angry, and now we see him in this kind of, like I said, beautiful mind type of realm. It's really, really well done, and it's on Amazon Prime right now. So
yeah. I've seen this. I don't think I liked it quite as much as you did, but it's definitely worth a watch. His performance in it is astonishing. I've never seen him do a performance like this. So he's really kind of stretching this year. So yeah, Electrical Life is worth a watch, I think. So good choice. All right. So Andrew, I think we're to your number 4. Is that correct?
Did you do yours?
Mine got trumped. It was 12 Years a Slave.
Okay. I'm going to go with Mowgli, Legend of the Jungle.
Nice. Yeah, I had that in my honorable mentions.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, we had 2 Jungle Book movies that came out right at the same time. The Andy Serkis one, which is what Benedict Cumberbatch is in, and then the actual Disney one. I liked the Mowgli, the Andy Serkis one, way more than I liked the Disney one. It's a lot more, I say adult themed just because there's a lot more violence and darkness. It's a very dark and almost kind of realistic in some ways. He is amazing as Shere Khan. His voice work that he does in his movies, and we might get into that later in some other people's lists. He has the perfect voice acting. He can do an amazing villain. It's a really, it might be my second favorite adaptation of a Jungle Book.
Yeah, I like it too. I think it's really good. Good choice. All right, on to our number 3s. This is where I have Imitation Game.
Okay.
And Andrew, I think you had it on your list at 5.
5.
So it was Andrew's 5. My number 3. I love the story. It was a story I'd never heard. It's based on a true story. I love that it's so like early computer stuff is always interesting to me, and calculating machines and how they were using it to break codes, and just some really interesting plot stuff, as well as some great performances. I really enjoy the Imitation Game.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, it's one worth watching.
The fact that it's the true story of Alan Turing, who and you would think that the main aspect of this movie would be about the code breaking and stuff like that, and it is, but also you have this secondary plot of his closeted homosexuality, and closeted for the simple fact that it's illegal. It was illegal in Britain,
Yeah.
and for them to villainize someone who literally saved the country. It's a very powerful story. I really, really enjoyed it, and I think this is where he got his first Oscar nomination. I think I'm probably wrong.
I don't remember, but I certainly think he could have been in that conversation for sure.
He was nominated, and I think this was the first time. Yeah,
cool. So. Very nice. All right, so I think that's on to Dom. Your number 3.
I have The Courier.
Oh, okay. It's so interesting because he has had so many back-to-back like movies, because this was also last year, I think, too, or at least within the last couple of years.
Yeah, and I think it got kind of overshadowed because it was like going into the summer.
Yep.
But based on a true story, another one. And he's a businessman who gets caught in a situation where he has to become a spy, and it revolves around the Cuban Missile Crisis, and he went full. It was a very dark movie. I know at some point he had to lose a ton of weight because he becomes imprisoned for months and months. But no, I mean, it's a really gripping, edge your seat type of movie. And initially, you wouldn't think that. When the trailer undersold the movie, which probably was to its benefit. But I really enjoyed it.
Very nice. The Courier, big recommend, in at number 3 for Dom. Andrew, your number 3?
1917.
Trumping that one, but we can go ahead and talk about it since it's my number 2.
Okay, I'll let you start.
Unless Dom wants to trump me at number 2.
No.
Oh, okay. Boy, oh boy, is this movie technically amazing. It's just, I could watch this movie over and over again and just be in awe of the filmmaking. And that's not to say it's not a compelling story too. It is absolutely a compelling event and story, and I just think this is done extremely well. And man, do I love 1917. So yeah. I had it in number 2.
It's the technical achievement of the way some of these shots are done. Like, I think the big one that stands out for me is the journey through no man's land at the very beginning. But then there's so many set pieces, and it's crazy because a movie that does play like it is a single shot. You have the burning city, at night, and some of these set pieces, you're like, this is just beautiful. Like, you can find beauty in this horror. And the scene where he jumps at the very end, where he jumps over the sand wall, and he's just running, and like he's trying to beat the clock, but he's too late almost, and troops are going. It's like you start crying because it's just so powerful.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Definitely recommend. Dom, did you have thoughts on 1917?
Oh, that was one of my favorite movies of that year.
Yeah,
it was so good. And then I remember seeing it a second time, and it was even better. Like, that's a great movie.
Yeah. All right. So I think that brings us to your number 2, Dom. What is it?
So I realized I should have trumped your number 5 because my number 2 is The Power of the Dog.
All right, there you go. That's fine.
No, I really enjoyed him playing, kind of an evil character, essentially. And a lot of, again, I think he has like certain themes that he really is drawn to because the hidden homosexual nature of his character that wanted to really explode, but in that time, you can't be that guy, especially with the Roughnecks, and I got to be the leader of men, and but no, just him. That one scene in the kitchen or in the dining area when Cody's character is bringing over like the flowers and he's messing with it and trying, it's innuendo, and he just kind of got that feel of like, this is an evil guy, and he did so well.
Yeah.
I give Aaron a lot of flack because he likes this movie more than I did, and I play it off like I hate this movie, which I don't. I really like this movie, but no,
it's not quite as much. Just
not quite as much. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is incredible, and it barely missed my list. Like, it was so close to being my number 5, but he's been in some good stuff.
Yep. Andrew, what is your number 2?
Speaking of good stuff, let's talk about 12 Years a Slave.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to because it's such a rough movie. And
to be clear, you mean the movie is good stuff, because the stuff in the movie is terrible stuff.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, like it's a rough watch. But Chiwetel Ejiofor is like he is amazing. He's been in 2. We're talking about him twice because he was in Multiverse of Madness. It's one of it's I think it's right up there with like Schindler's List on movies that are like difficult to watch, but like they're so important.
Necessary.
Necessary. I just keep coming back to because I think this is the first time we as a main, a Western audience, like get to see Lupita Nyong'o, in a movie. And she just, that scene with her and why can't I remember Magneto's name?
Ian McKellen.
What's it? Michael Fassbender. Thank you.
Yeah.
Ian McKellen is the one who's in the movie. But no, Michael Fassbender is just such a vile character. He is so much like Ray Fiennes in Schindler's List. Of like he is the epitome of evil. Like he was like crafted in hell and then put on screen. It's obviously it's an astounding achievement. And obviously, as a white guy, this is me looking back at history and going like, how could we, sort of
there's an interesting thing too where, and I had this at number 4, so I had it at number 4 and you had it at number 2. It's so important to wrestle with the reality of what this movie shows, right? And it's also important, and one of the things that I've been trying to learn in my journey over the last few years, it's also important to wrestle with it in a way that goes, and it has consequences today, right? Like, and it's not just something I can put in the past and go, oh, how terrible that thing in the past happened, because
good thing we're okay now.
Right, exactly, because it directly impacts today and things that are still, inequitable and painful and traumatic and terrible that happen today. And so movies like this are important for both of those reasons, I think, both to help us wrestle with then and also wrestle with now. Dominique, 12 Years a Slave, thoughts?
I've actually never seen it. It was one of those things where like I know enough, what I mean? And there's a lot of people like me, my homies of mine, like any kind of slave movie we just avoid because it's like I get tired of like seeing myself essentially in these type of, even if it is a triumphant story, you got this whole first half that's going to be, just degradation, and it's like I don't need to see it no more.
That's more than a half.
See, it's one of those. Like
I really appreciate that perspective, Dom. I appreciate you sharing.
Yeah, it's just one of those like, I did like a part of a Q&A yesterday with Casey Lemons, who directed Harriet, and her main thing was to make sure that the slavery part was like within the first like 5-10 minutes, and then it's like a triumphant hero story, because same thing. I'm sure she's like, I don't need to see, like, have everybody see this thing over and over and over again.
Yeah.
So yeah.
There is a part of it at some point that can become trauma porn, right? That it's just like, that it's, oh, we have to, live in the pain of it. And I appreciate that perspective for sure. All right, on to our number ones, right? I think we're on to our number ones.
Yep.
So yeah, this is where I have my Marvel selection. My number one is Infinity War. As we mentioned previously on this podcast. Benedict is in it, and it is my favorite Marvel movie, so it would make sense that it ends at number one. And I feel like we've talked about Marvel a lot already, so I don't need to go into depth. But man, it's incredible, the culmination of Infinity War and Endgame, and specifically what happens in Infinity War. So yeah, that's my number one. Andrew, you said it was the same for you. Did you have anything else you wanted to add?
No, we've talked about this movie a trillion times.
Okie doke. Dom, what is your number one Benedict Cumberbatch?
So I cheated, and I chose Sherlock. I know it's not a movie, but that show is so good. It was my first introduction that I can remember of Benedict.
Yeah.
And I remember this is when I was like consuming a lot of British television. I was like binging Doctor Who episodes. I was working at a Taekwondo program, and I had one kid named Riley, and she's the one who kind of got me into it. She was like, I love this guy. And she got me to Doctor Who, and I was like, well, she can't be wrong twice. So I started watching Sherlock, and I'm like, you know what? You're right again. Like, this is amazing. And now America loves Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah. Well, BBC shows like this are like, what, an hour and a half long anyway, so they're pretty much just movies.
Yeah, BBC bringing Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yes.
Yeah, I love Sherlock. And yeah, you cheated, but I get it. Fine. I totally get it. I'm fine talking about Sherlock. It's an incredible show.
It really is.
I mean, it's an incredible series of movies, honestly.
Right.
It's the episodes are a feature length for the most part. So yeah, check out Sherlock if you haven't yet. It's great stuff.
Yeah.
All right, honorable mentions. Andrew, why don't you go first? What are some of your honorable mentions?
A couple that are just off the top of my head. There's a movie that he did not too long ago called Brexit. It's pretty good. It's like, you won't be mad that you watched it. Obviously, Desolation of Smaug. That's Desolation of Smaug is, I think, the only good Hobbit movie.
Yeah, he's incredible. His voice work for that dragon is just astonishing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he did one Mauritanian. I know you hate that movie.
I really do.
I know you hate it.
It's so terrible.
It's not. It's really powerful and impactful.
I don't know. Maybe I need to watch it again. I don't know. I'm glad you like it. I'm sure
the Guantanamo Bay stuff is just so like engaging. Like wow.
Yeah.
And he's not Benedict, but I forget our main protagonist in that movie.
Yeah, he's great.
He gives such an amazing performance. So there we go.
Dom, did you have any honorable mentions?
Star Trek, Into the Darkness.
Yeah. I enjoy that.
It's Star Trek. I mean, majority of us like it. It's hard not to like it.
Fair enough.
Yeah. The only thing I would mention, the Grinch movie. It's actually pretty good.
I haven't seen that one, actually.
Yeah, he's actually pretty good in that. And then the other one I saw that I was like, oh, that was fun, was Between the Ferns, the movie. Or Between Two Ferns, the movie. His stuff in there is hilarious, and that movie is really funny.
I don't remember him in that movie.
You don't? Yeah, no. He was one of the interviews. He kept messing up his name, pronouncing it a whole bunch of different ways.
Benedict Cabbage Patch?
Yeah.
I need to rewatch that movie.
There you go. Best ever Benedict Cumberbatch. All right, let's finish it up with some buried treasure. Dom, you're our guest, so you get to go last. I guess I'll kick us off with some buried treasure. Ozark finished out, had released in 2 chunks the final season, and this show, man, I really dig it.
Right outside our door.
What's that?
It's right outside our door in the Ozark.
That's true. We live in the Ozarks.
If we leave the bunker, we're in the show. That's why we don't
right.
leave.
Yes, that's why we never walk outside.
Yeah.
Career defining performance for Laura Linney. I think it's just absolute career topping work for her. Jason Bateman is always great, and he's so good in this dramatic role. Introduced several new actors that I'd never heard of before to do incredible work. It is quite soapy, the plot lines are definitely intricate and over the top. But I buy it and I have a good time with it, and I really like where it lands. That may be a controversial opinion if you know how the show finishes up, but it makes a choice, and I love it when a show makes a choice. And so I really did dig the series finale. So all seasons of Ozark are on Netflix. If you want to check it out, it is complete. It is a complete story now. So
nice.
You can do that. Andrew, what do you got?
Is it weird that in a in a big in a big podcast like this where we're talking about the MCU that I was all week the most excited to talk about my buried treasure?
Well, what is it? Maybe it'll make sense.
It's a show called Yellow Jackets.
Oh, you finally got around to seeing Yellow Jackets.
Finally watched, and I watched it all in one day.
Wow.
I could not stop watching. It was fascinating. I think that the best way I can describe the show is if Stephen King wrote Lord of the Flies.
Ooh.
Okay. That's fair.
It's performances all around. I think Christina Ricci is like amazing. I love Christina Ricci, and Juliette Lewis is, stellar. My favorite character is Misty, and by favorite character, I mean I think is the most fascinating, not like the one I think is
sure,
because Misty has some issues.
Patterning your life after Misty.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Yeah. I don't think since Lost, and I know there's going to be some comparisons, about, plane crash and, on an island. But what I mean by this is I don't think since Lost, there's been a show where I've been more like enamored with fan theories, like where could the show possibly go in the future?
Right.
Watching it for the first time, I was really, immersed in like the past in 1996 and finding out what was going on, because obviously that's where all the answers are, But I think whenever the last 2 episodes of the first season, like whenever it goes back to modern times, I'm like, oh, so we're going to get some answers here too. And I think they did such an amazing job of casting young and older versions of each character, where I'm like, you nailed it.
Yeah.
It's honestly there are moments where I'm like, this is a terrifying show.
For sure.
The man with no eyes is like one of the creepiest things ever.
Yeah.
So it's only been a week, but in this week, every single person I've talked to, I'm like, hey, have you seen Yellow Jackets? Have you seen Yellow Jackets? If I would have known this show existed back when we did our when we were doing the Sifties, it probably would have been in my top 1 or 2 shows.
Nice. Yeah. You really loved it.
I really, really do. Can't wait for season 2.
Showtime, right? Yellow Jackets is a Showtime show. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, there you go. Dom, finish this off. What is your buried treasure?
So Atlanta season 3 is here. It's on FX. It's the next day streaming on Hulu. Donald Glover is one of our great creative minds of this generation.
Yeah.
And having with him, Brian Tyree Henry, Zazie Beetz, Lakeith Stanfield, who are arguably 3 of the biggest Black actors right now. And because they're in everything, this season in particular, they're so genius the way they do it. So it's almost anthology, but then also every other episode connects to one of the previous episodes. So they're on tour, but then also they have these episodes that kind of play with race relations and flip things on their head a little bit. It's trippy. they have this eeriness in some episodes that kind of reminds you of like Jordan Peele's films. It's funny. I mean, even the descriptions of the episodes, they kind of make fun of themselves. And it's topical. And it's shot like very cinematically. Like, I don't know. And I mean, I see why it took so long for them to bring this season out, because it takes a lot of thought to make these episodes without to be like PC without being PC, and to take these nuances of like reparations, or there's an episode where a kid gets he's being bad and he gets kidnapped, and they think that it's plays like on the whole liberal family dynamic, adapting kids, and it's so good, man. And it's still going on. I think the newest episode drops next week, I believe, next Wednesday. And it's almost one where you want to wait till the season's over so you can watch all of them. But I mean, if you watch them week to week, it's so good. It's so good.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
No, I was just saying that's where I'm at. I'm waiting until the season's
Me too.
dropped, and then I'll plow through them. But I
How
love the
many
show.
episodes are left in this season? Do you know?
I know right now, next week will be episode 9. I'm not sure how many they're doing.
Okay.
Probably 10.
I know that for me anyway, there's at least one episode each season, each of these first 2 seasons that's been a standout. Like for season 1, it was whenever Brian Tyree Henry went on that TV channel, like the local news channel.
Yeah.
And it was one of the funniest things I'd ever seen. And then in season 2, when Lakeith Stanfield goes to buy that piano, that one felt like a Jordan Peele episode.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if there's been an episode like that in season 3 that's just stood out.
There's definitely one that not enough people, I guess, because people are waiting, haven't talked about it enough. But it's definitely one that it can cause arguments. Me and some friends got into it, and it turned to an hour-long argument where we paused the episode and got into it for a little bit. And it's some of the episodes are like conversations that need to be had, and they're uncomfortable. And I think that's what Donald Glover is good at doing, is creating these uncomfortable situations and making you live through it.
Yeah. There you go. Atlanta is on FX and Hulu. Yellow Jackets is on Showtime, and Ozark, all season streaming on Netflix. Well, we did it, guys. Woo! We managed to accomplish a podcast in this universe, and maybe others. Who knows? I haven't dreamed about it lately, so we'll find out. Thanks so much for joining us today for SiftPop. It is part of the Studio DNA Podcast Network. You can find out more about other shows on the network at studiodna.media or by searching for Studio DNA in your podcast player. Huge thanks to Andrew for hanging out again today.
Thank you, buddy.
Big thanks to producer Phil for producing the audio and video show.
Thanks, Phil.
Thanks to Drew for putting together some graphics for the show today.
Oh, yeah, buddy.
And thank you to Dom Fisher for coming by from Geek Vibes Nation.
Yes.
Yeah, give people a little bit of point them to where they can find you on the internets.
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram at the Dom Fisher, which is normally where I'm at. Twitter, I try to use as much as possible, which is not a lot, but that's at King_Fish.
Good man.
And then you can find everything else that we do on YouTube by searching Geek Vibes Nation, and our website, geekvibesnation.com.
There you go. Check it out. Always love it when you're on, Dom. Thanks for making some time for us. Really appreciate it. Also, if you want to be a SiftPop member, you can do that at Patreon. Our SiftPop members help support what goes on here at $3 a month. That's where it starts. Lots of fun perks there you can check out. That's patreon.com/SiftPop. Lots of ways to connect with us. You can leave a comment, a rating, or a review at Apple Podcasts, or email us at feedback@siftpop.com. And finally, if you're having a good time, your movie-loving friends will probably like this show too. So make sure you let them know about it, and that listening is much easier than surviving a sharp major blow to the head. We will be back next week with some more movie discussion, and we will see you then. Bye.
Bye.
Adios.
All right, guys, live viewers, thanks for hanging out with us. Appreciate you all. Wida, Jose, Mark, I see you all in there. Sonic. We are going to let you go so that we can record some spoilers real quick. So